it's a shame that we couldn't organize it the other day, but we have to organize it better because I don't hear you guys very well, but I will do my best just to say hello to your guys. Thank you for organizing.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I think we all wish we could be in Vegas with you. So
we're gonna. There's good places over here, my friend.
I know. What's the time in Vegas now, Nestor?
11 a.m.
Amazing, yeah.
Nice and early in the morning.
Amazing.
Hola, Nestor. ¿Cómo está?
Hey, ¿cómo está, amigo? Vegas, my friend.
Can't travel, otherwise I'd be there. Next year.
We have to. Are you coming? Are you coming to PCA or not?
There's no travel out of the UK. It's no, I'll be back next year. Evening, Roy.
Good evening, Mitchell. Hope you're well.
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just
Mitchell.
Everybody who shouldn't be unmuted.
Oh, Matteo. Hey, how are you doing?
Very well. Mitchell, how you doing? Good to see you.
Nice to see you and nice to hear your very, very funny accent. And I'm saying that in a nice way. Always
Yeah.
smile, man.
Yeah, well, you know, the Chilean still there, a bit of the Scottish come between now and then. So, no, absolutely delighted to be here. And it's a pleasure to see you and be here in this special evening with you all.
Thank you very much.
I know Nestor is in Vegas, so I think we'll get started because he has a limited time for us. So, Nestor, welcome from far away.
It's a pleasure to be with you guys, and I apologize that we couldn't change the day, but I talked to Rodrigo and Roy. Let me just say hello to the guys. Wishing my best. Thank you for supporting. And the pairing with Flor de Caña for me is the best pairing that we can do with any Plasencia cigar. I really like the concept of for sustainability. Is more or less the same that we're doing in our farms with organically grown tobacco and planting trees and all the stuff. And I always said that our cigars are full flavor, not full strength. And it's something that I like with Flor de Caña, that it's not so sweet. It's absolutely, but a full flavor. And I'm enjoying right now the cigar that you guys were supposed to receive, the Hexagonal Sixto I, Colorado Claro, Alma Fuerte. We hope the cigars will be soon available over there. But it's a pleasure to say hi to all of you guys. And we have to organize it with more time in the office in Nicaragua. And it will be my pleasure to see you guys in Esteli, where the magic starts, where the beautiful tobacco start with the seed, the plant, the fermentation, and the other manufacturing. So thank you guys for supporting our brand. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for popping in and for that warm welcome and for the intro. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for popping on. The cigar should be hopefully in the market next week. So fingers crossed for those of you eagerly waiting. I think Nestor knows this is a great cigar. I was lucky enough to smoke it in December at the factory, and it's really something worth waiting for. So thank you, Nestor.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And let's try to organize it another day that you guys can get together again, and I have plenty of time to discuss our brand, how we do it. Just a little. Let me show you a little bit of the booth over here. This is a fire that we have for Alma del Fuego. And all the team is working here. We're in Vegas. This is the free trade show after all this craziness. So we said, let's do it fun and get together again and enjoy cigars together, and enjoy life together. So thank you again.
Thank you, Nestor.
And let me know when you guys have time, and I will be pleased to spend more time with you guys and explain all the things that we're doing for this beautiful.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nestor.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a great time with Rodrigo and Roy. They know what they're doing. Hey, Mateo, nice brother.
Thanks, Nestor. Hasta luego.
Business.
Hasta luego.
Yeah.
I'm glad they know what they're doing because we don't know what we're doing. Mateo, have another drink. Hey, Ronnie, I can see you over there.
Yeah,
Good
good
partner.
part. I'll come and join you. Keep the quality up.
Exactly.
Very sensible. Bring the quality up, you mean?
So Rodrigo, I guess you'll take over for the Plasencia side. So tell us a bit more about Plasencia, the history of the family, and then how they kind of got to where they are today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks again to Paul, to Mitchell, to Roy for having me. This beautiful evening. I live in Barcelona. It's a beautiful evening. So hopefully in the UK, wherever you are, also it's the weather is nice, or it's getting nicer, or will be nice for the weekend. And also would like to say hello to Mateo, our ambassador for Flor de Caña in Nicaragua as well.
Just disappeared, actually.
Is it okay?
I'm sure he'll be back in a minute.
And before I start, I think it's really nice to see some normality back into the business. See Nestor in Vegas, see the whole team doing what we're used to doing, presenting our cigars all over the world. So hopefully that spirit will transfer over to the UK and to Europe sometime this summer, and we can see each other again and do these beautiful events again live. I think that's the way we do like it the most. So hopefully this will happen very soon. So again, thank you for having me. I'm Rodrigo Medina. I'm Nicaraguan. I live in Barcelona, and I'm the regional director for Plasencia Cigars, pretty much everywhere else but the US and the Americas. And it's an honor for me to be here tonight presenting the beautiful craft that we're doing in Nicaragua. Our family Plasencia, it's a family who started the passion and love for tobacco in 1865 in Cuba. So we've been doing this beautiful business craft affair for many years with a lot of experience. After the Cuban Revolution, the family moved to Nicaragua, where they started from zero again, bringing the seeds they had from Cuba. And again, in Nicaragua, we had a similar revolution in 1979. Actually, that was the year that I was born. And the family had to move again, relocate, restart again from scratch, and grow tobacco in Honduras. In the late 80s, beginning of the 90s, the revolution in Nicaragua was ended. So the family went back to Nicaragua to grow tobacco. And soon after that, they started not only growing tobacco in both countries, Honduras and Nicaragua, but also making cigars for other companies. So at that time, we were really, really well known for growing the best tobaccos in the regions in Nicaragua and Honduras. And soon after that, also, we started making beautiful brands for companies like For the Selva, Casa Magna, Alec Bradley, and many others. And very recently, 5.5 years ago, that's actually when I started with Nestor, we launched for the first time the Plasencia Cigars. So for the first time, we were using the best tobaccos from different regions in Nicaragua and Honduras, using the best artists that we have in the 7 different factories among these countries, and presenting the best of the best in our cigars. So we are a recent brand, a very new brand, but with a lot of history, 5 generations of Plasencia growing tobacco, making cigars, and finally with the brand. I think it's a beautiful journey, and finally we can present the best of our craft in our cigars.
Perfect, thank you. Mateo, I think Mateo's back. Mateo, also a little welcome from you perhaps, and tell us a little bit more about Flor de Caña Rum to get the people going.
Well, good evening, everyone. I've joined the company 3 years ago, and of course, we just like Plasencia, we 5-generation family. Last year we had our 130th anniversary, and for the Caña Flor, flower, Caña, sugarcane, as you know, the tobacco plant and the sugarcane plant, they both grow side to side in our volcanic land. We're blessed to have, a San Cristobal volcano, which is one of the most active volcanoes in Nicaragua. And our story began in 1890, where Mr. Alfredo Pelas Canesa passed through Nicaragua and see this opportunity and bought land, about 50,000 acres. And we opened a sugarcane plantation, San Antonio Sugar Estates, in those years. And after every harvest, we were aging some liquid in oak cask to celebrate the workers. And this spirit of this liquid started getting well known. And that's how Flor de Caña began, which is just an amazing experience, because from there to seeing it right now, all over the world, and, getting amazing recognition like World Best Rum Distillery, Producer of the World, Best Rum in the World 2017 in the International Wine Spirit Competition in London, Miami Congress, and so on, is absolutely amazing. And as was Nestor saying, of course, sustainability is at the core of our brand. So we got a campaign called Adopt a Tree, where we planted 50,000 trees every year. We have partnered up with One Tree this year, and we wanted to, our aim to 2025 to plant 1 million trees, among many other sustainable practices, like when we ferment, we collect the CO2 and we sell it to soft drinks and beer companies. Our distillery runs 100% our renewable energy. So imagine when you grab the sugarcane, you crush it. So you extract the sugarcane juice, you extract the crystals for the sugar, and what is left over, we boil it and we create the molasses, which is the base for our rum. But at the same time, what's the leftover is called the bagazo. So what we put that into ovens, and then, the ovens create heat, the heat creates steam, and that's how our distillery runs, which is another amazing thing that we do. The rum that you're having tonight is, of course, for the Caña 12. Firstly, I want to say that this bottle is 100% recyclable. We work with Savory Glass in France, so this bottle this glass recycled from them. Our labels come from Barbados, and our cork from Portugal. The 12 is such a unique rum because after being, naturally aged for 12 years in ex-bourbon barrels. So what we do, we get the barrels from Kentucky, take it to Nicaragua, open them up, and we seal them with Nicaraguan plantain leaves. This helps us to reduce the angel share, as you'll know, being naturally aged under the hot volcanic temperatures in Nicaragua. The angel share is bigger than normally everywhere. For example, here in Scotland, it's about 1% a year you lose in angel share. Over there, it's about 9%. So we managed to reduce 1%. That's still, for 1,000 of barrels, this is quite a lot. And we are so unique because, in the world of rum, there's no rules, right? Caramel, sugar, vanilla essence, all of these things are, that you can add it without any rules, but we don't have any of that. So what's so unique? Because we don't have any sugar added. And this is the bold flavor that you get that is only for the distillation process, that is column still. So typical Latin American rum, very clean, really elegant, but at the same time, the 12 particularly has like some nice apples and pears, this dryness. It's quite nice and rounded, like a perfect sipping rum that in this case, pair with the Almafuerte that we have it works really well because it still gives you some of that nice sweetness, balancing that bitterness that I think that is lovely for a rum. And that's why you just expect something that you can sip, something that it doesn't put you off, and every sip that you have, you're still getting more flavors into it. I'm gonna make a cocktail for you later on, and I have a lot of more things to tell you. So I'm gonna hold back a little bit and enjoy my cigar and have another sip of my rum. But on the chat, or if you have any other specific question, please feel free to let me know, as I'm really, really happy to tell you more about our story. But if any technical things that you like to ask, you just feel free to ask as well, guys.
Perfect. Thank you for your intro, Matteo. Back to Rodrigo. Rodrigo, as you mentioned in your intro, Plasencia Cigars started making cigars for themselves 5 years ago. What made the family decide to start their own cigar line?
I think mostly the main reason was that the end consumer didn't know the name Plasencia. Professionals like Mitchell and Paul and you, Roy, knew the name Plasencia because we supply tobaccos to a lot of companies. One of them is Davidoff. We supply some of their tobaccos for the Davidoff Nicaragua line. But the end consumer didn't know Plasencia. And we thought that it was necessary that the end consumer knew the footprint of the family in the industry. So I think that was one of the main reasons. And then we had some beautiful aged tobacco that we wanted to give it some purpose. And I think the best purpose was to not create our own line. So we thought also that makes sense. But it was, I think, a time that the end consumer knew who the family was, especially Nestor Senior, that has done so much for the industry. And having their name in the cigars, I think it was necessary. So the timing was right. Now that Nestor Jr. is taking over part of the business, I think he wanted to give his father an homage to the amazing job that he has done throughout his life.
Was the family not concerned by making so many cigars for so many other companies that they would be seen as competition?
No. I think we are enhancing the industry. I mean, if you compare it to other industries, for example, rum, our industry is very small. So I think what we need is to attract new consumers to this beautiful world of cigars and bring in top quality from Nicaragua. We thought it was necessary, and I think we are bringing new consumers into the industry. Therefore, some of our customers, which we're making cigars to, also are taking advantage of that. I think we are a very small but very tight industry, and the more and better quality cigars, I think the better for the industry. So we thought otherwise, actually.
So what cigar did you start with?
Did I start with myself?
No, the company or yourself was always the first cigar you smoked, but as Plasencia, as a company, you decided let's make our own cigar line. So which cigar was the first one?
We started with the Reserva Original, which is a cigar made 100% from organic tobacco from different regions in Nicaragua. So that was the first cigar we had in the market. And soon after that, we launched the Alma Fuerte, which actually was the first cigar in the US from Plasencia. So those two lines were the first one that we launched. Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit more about the organic certification? So how do you get certified to be 100% organic?
Well, I would like to track back a bit of the history of that tobacco. Nestor Andres, who was just with us from Vegas, he's an agronomist by craft, and he did his thesis in the agronomical school in growing organic vegetables and fruits. And from then he took the idea of growing organic tobacco. So he went back to Nicaragua after he finished his studies and developed and try and error to grow organic tobacco in Esteli and also in Jalapa. So that's why that's how everything started. But then it's a bit back of where we stand, the values of the company. We're like Flor de Caña, we're a sustainable company. We are a company with values, and we believe that the best way of treating both tobacco and the earth and the water was to grow organic tobacco. So that was the second reason why we grow this organic tobacco. And the certification that you asked about is a certification from OSHA, which is an organization in the US that comes to Nicaragua every year to certify the whole process. So they do certification on the land where we grow the tobacco, on the tools that we use to grow the tobacco, on everything that we use to feed the plant also is certified by them. So OSHA is the name of the company who certifies the process every year.
How many other factories that you know of have 100% organic certification?
I don't know any. I think we're still the only ones. I know other companies and other families are trying, but even though it sounds very simple, and actually that was the way it was done hundreds of years ago in America, they grew tobacco organically because that was the only way they knew how to do it. It's not an easy thing to do. So still today, the only company that I know who's making a cigar with organic tobacco, which is certified, is Plasencia, I believe. And we are using this tobacco not only in the Reserva Original, but also in other blends like the Alma Fuerte, where we're using one leaf of that tobacco in that blend as well.
So presumably you can't use any pesticides. So how do you deal with Lacioderma risk or any other pests that may damage the tobacco plants if you can't use pesticides? I mean, or is there some organic equivalent that one can use? I don't really understand.
That's a very good question, and I love, Mitchell, when you come to see us in Esteli to show you how we do everything. But we use different tools. One of them is that we use a neem tree oil to protect the plant from the pest. Also, we plant sunflowers around the tobacco fields. So usually the insects, they go into the flower instead of going to the tobacco. And for the roots, to protect the roots of the tobacco, we use a tool called Trichoderma, which is one of the tools that we use to protect the tobacco. And you have to keep in mind that all of the tobacco that we use for the Reserva Original, the organic tobacco, is sun-grown. So the difficulty of keeping that tobacco safe, let's say, from the pest is even bigger than the tobacco which is shade-grown tobacco. So it's difficult, but we have found, and actually Nestor have found different tools to use to protect the tobacco from the pest.
Amazing, very impressive.
Also, the soil you use for the organic tobacco, how different is it to the soil you use for the other tobacco plants? Because when I went to visit, the soil seems to be a lot thicker.
It is. There are two regions where we grow this tobacco. One is Esteli, where you have been, Roy, and the other one is Jalapa, the Valley of Jalapa, where we grow the wrappers for this organic tobacco. So these are the two soils where we grow the organic tobacco. What we use to feed the tobacco plant, we use humus. So in a pool, different pools, we put the compost from different animals. And we used some sort of worm that Nestor imported from California, actually. So the worm eats the compost from the animals and creates a very, very good compost that goes into the plant. So with a lot of nutrients. So that's why the flavor of the Reserva Original is different from other blends because of these humus that Nestor uses for the tobacco.
So how long did the process take to get certified 100% organic? Because I assume it takes a few years for everything to kind of come together. And
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nestor started with the whole process about 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and we launched the Reserva Original about 7 years ago. So 15 to 7, that's all the years it took to get it right. So they get the blend, get the tobacco, good quality tobacco, to age the tobacco, and to get a certification. So it's a quite long process, to make a blend, 7, 8 years just to get the tobacco to a good quality and get the certification. So it's a long process, costly process as well, very labor intensive as well, but we love the result. And like I said, I think the main purpose not only is the flavor, but is the being and the mission of protecting the earth where we grow the tobacco, to have the earth full of nutrients so we can get good quality and good flavor from the tobacco. So we believe if we treat the earth right, the earth will give you back, what knows how to do the best. So I think it's a circle. It's a philosophy from the family.
I think that the Alma Fuerte line came to fruition. But the Alma Fuerte line, they're in quite unusual shapes. So how did Nestor or the Plasencia family came around to doing those shapes? Like the Salomones we're smoking now is slightly box pressed, which is unusual for Salomones.
Yes.
Now,
when we decided to launch the Plasencia line, so we thought we needed to be different. We make cigars for other families as well, but when it came to our brands, we needed to do something different. And one of the differentiation factors are the vitolas. The shapes are unique. You're smoking tonight the Salomones, which is one of the most difficult shapes to make, but we pushed the envelope a little bit more, and it's a slightly box press Salomon, so it makes it even harder to make this vitola. And as I said in the beginning, we selected the best artists from the 7 different factories that we have to make these shapes. Also, we have a hexagonal shaped cigar. So we have the Sixto I and the Sixto II, which is unique. No other family has or company has an hexagonal shaped cigar. And this is also a match to nature. We are mimicking the honeycomb shape, which is thought to be the most perfect shape in nature. And we wanted to see how this shape reflected into a cigar. So we're trying to be really respectful to the past. So that means the quality of tobacco needs to be really, really high, But when it comes to presentations, to vitolas, we like to push the envelope and look forward to as well, to be innovative. So it's a beautiful mixture of the older generation of Plasencias with the new generation, and everything comes together, I think, in a very balanced and natural way when it comes to the brand.
And Jonathan already chose my next question. You mentioned that you use your best aged tobacco for the Almafuerte line. So what's the age of the tobaccos used?
On the Almafuerte is 10 years plus. So I think for everybody enjoying this cigar right now, you can really feel the deepness of that tobacco in this blend. So on the Almafuerte is 10 years plus. On the Original, it's about 5 to 6 years. Then Alma del Campo is about 8 years. So let's say the less aged tobacco that we have is 6 years, which is the Original. And I think also that gives a big differentiation factor, when it comes to our blends, the aging of the tobacco. All the all the aristas go away, and you get a very rounded tobacco and more complexity as you age the tobacco more. And I think that's what it reflects in the Almafuerte line.
If you look at the wrapper of the Almafuerte, they're very dark. So how did it become so dark? What is it you guys do that it?
Well, it's a process of fermentation. When we ferment the tobacco, we do it in such a way. We get this color of wrapper. So it's almost like a Maduro on the Sixto II. On the Sixto I, which is the new line coming into the UK next week, like you said, we use a Colorado Claro wrapper. So in the Almafuerte Salomones that you're enjoying tonight, you feel more of a chocolatey flavor, I think dark chocolate with coffee. And then when you try the other wrapper, the Sixto I, the Colorado Claro, you feel more of a nutty sweetness, marzipan kind of flavor. So the wrapper has a huge influence on the blends. And from Sixto I and the Sixto II, I think when you try the two of them or the Salomones, you'll feel a big difference because of the wrapper.
But also the blend of the Sixto I is slightly different?
It is because, in the beginning, we just wanted to make an Almafuerte, which is a bit more like sweeter, more smoky, a bit more creamy, because we believe, I think that's kind of the profile of smoke that people or customers in Europe in the UK like. But it's not as easy as just changing the wrapper. You have to slightly modify the blend to have a balance. So we also modified a bit of the blend on the Sixto I to be able to get this balance that I'm talking about. So it's slightly also altered the blend on the Sixto I.
I think the best comparison is that the Almafuerte Sixto II is more like an espresso, and the Sixto I is more like cappuccino, kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
So this is the first one with the Colorado Claro wrapper. Are there any plans to release that also in other vitolas?
Not yet. We are launching, not in this exhibition in Vegas, but the one in July. We're launching a new Cosecha series. We have now in the market a blend from Honduras and Nicaragua called Cosecha 146. So that means cosecha in Spanish means harvest. So these are tobaccos from the harvest 2011 and 12. So that's the 146 harvest from the family. And in Vegas, we are presenting in a couple of months a new cosecha. So we are selecting a very great harvest that we had throughout the years, and we are presenting that this year. On the Almafuerte, no plans yet. So we would like to see how the Sixto I develops. I think so far it's been a success. I mean, it's not yet in the UK. We'll be there next week. But the feedback I'm getting from the US and from a couple of countries in Europe is excellent. So I love to see perhaps a rounded Robusto on that line. So I think we have to push Nestor a little bit to have that blend, because I think that's going to be a complete success for the family as well.
I think so too. And you guys have been quite successful over the last couple of years in terms of ratings of cigars, and of course you guys won the Cigar of the Year of Cigar Journal last year. So how much effect does that have on your blending style, or how much effect does that have on the team?
To be honest, none. I mean, we have a fairly good idea on what we want to do. and everything starts, at the farms. The quality tobacco that we are raising and harvesting and treating at the farms. So I think the ratings and the awards is just a reflection of the work that everybody is doing at the farms. Of course, we see a bit of the stats and the numbers, which blends are more successful, which shapes, but when it comes to the origin of the blends, I think the awards have no influence on the blends that we're making, to be honest. I mean, it's really nice to see and to get these awards. Like you said, the Robusto from the Almafuerte was named Best Cigar of the Year last year. Cigar Journal. Also a couple of years ago in the UK, the Robusto from the Alma del Campo was also best cigar. And these are great things, great awards and great recognition to have. But like I said, I think we have a very clear vision on what we want to do and what kind of blends we want to create.
Ooh. Let's go back to Matteo for a second. Matteo, you were talking about creating a cocktail for us. I feel now's a good time.
Okay, well, let's crack on then. I'm just gonna move my camera a little bit because this is a drink that is really easy to make at home. Being a cocktail connoisseur or a bartender, or for us in my case, traveling the world making drinks, sometimes we need to simplify the recipes, especially. Well, not right now that we're going back to being able to have drinks and go back to bars and be spoiled and served by the best professionals, on the trade. I think that it's quite important to know how to make a good drink home. One of the good things for Flor de Caña, especially, the rum that we're trying tonight, the Flor de Caña 12, that is really playful. That is something that, us with a slightly more developed palate that maybe we enjoy in meat. You can put it into every occasion. So don't ever feel there's no rule, we like to mix it. People will say just like a single malt if you think. No, don't mix it, add a little bit of water, don't put ice. We stay completely away from that because of course tonight we're drinking it on its own, but we also be able to mix it. We're gonna do tonight an old fashioned, maple old fashioned. Why? Because there's so many rules into the old fashioned. When you go to a bar and you order an old fashioned, sometimes depending on the bar, it might take so long to make because you need to dissolve the sugar, you need to stir it down for 5 minutes to get the perfect dilution, only 8 millimeters of water. There's so many rules between, but this old fashioned would take less than a minute to take, and I think that is absolutely perfect and delicious. And we're going to stir it on the same glass, as you see here. So, one of the things here that I want you just to take away is that when you make some drink home, try to simplify ingredients. So today, supermarket, I just got this maple syrup. You can use honey, you can use agave, or even if you have a bar spoon of sugar, it will do the job. And the only thing that we need to measure is, of course, if you don't have a measurement like this one, this is called a Japanese jigger. So you have 50 mil here and 25. If you don't have this, it's fine. You just count till 3, I will say, from the bottle stick to the glass, just maybe, a measure of like 2 fingers, like don't go over more than that. So on this case, if you got a measure, we're using a 50 mil. So in this case, it will be a double shot. If not, you can just tell from the glass that just, up there. If you want to add a little bit more, you're allowed. Don't worry about that. It just depends, of the measurement that it can be freely poured. We go our base spirit, of course, which is Flor de Caña 12. And then you will find as well Angostura bitters that you can find in every supermarket or some online shops. This is a root, actually, and it's just a great cocktail ingredient to have because what it does, it just adds some bitterness into your drink. So we're just going to add like 2 dashes of the Angostura bitter on it. This, by the end result of our drink, is going to help us to bitterness a little bit the drink. And then, of course, we're going to put the maple syrup in. That only I'm going to put a bar spoon. So a teaspoon. I mean, I think that if, the bigger spoon, like a soup spoon, that'll be a bit too much, too sweet, depending on your taste. But for me, just like a teaspoon, it will be enough sweetness. So I just fill that up and then put it right in. So what we have there, we have the base, which is the rum. we got the bitterness from the Angostura bitter and some of the sweetness. So as simple as that, we just add some ice into it, and then we're just gonna stir down. So of course, if you go, this is a bar spoon, but you got a teaspoon or anything, it'll still work. What do you do? And this is kind of like a tip. If you grab the glass with your full hand, you're adding heat because, body heat into it. So try to just hold it by the base so your glasses stay right and tight to the table. You don't add in any extra heat into your glass, and you're just gonna stir down. So if you're ahead, if you count till 6, 7, 8, and then that should be your drink. This drink, of course, as everyone has their own rule, that's as simple as a rum old fashioned. We all do it differently, but the good thing that we can simplify it. Then again, a drink like this will get garnished with an orange twist. So we're peeling the orange. But as we're trying to move to being more sustainable, we're staying away from garnishes unless you dehydrate the orange, a slice of orange, you dehydrate it, and then you can add it as then you're gonna eat the orange after. But this is the type of drink that we want to have in this evening, with a great body cigar, talking with our friends, sharing experiences and facts about our wonderful companies and in the world of cigars, of rum, that of course is one of the best, in the world, the best industries that you can be on. And this is the drink that you want to have a sip. And then with time, you're going to continue development as the ice slowly melt into your drink and it becomes way more appealing into your palate. But this is the type of drink that you take your time, you sip and you chat away. So, salud.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Wish we could all. Now you just have to make 18 more and we're all good to go.
Absolutely.
But you've been to the Plasencia factory last year, I think.
I had the pleasure. I had the pleasure of being there last year. Yes.
What did you? What was something which really stood out for you?
Well, firstly, I was very humbled to say that because I work for a Nicaraguan company as well, and the relationship from Plasencia and Flor de Caña tracked back to many years and generations before my time and other people who've been working for it. For me, the welcome was exceptional. Being Latin American, of course, I'm really open. Working on the trade for nearly 15 years right now in the hospitality industry. We talkative, we warm. We like to give people cuddles and you become our friend instantly. By then, don't know me. I think that I had the warmest welcome, and also just standing in front of the big door. For me, it was just a unique experience. It was actually the first factory that I visit on my time as an ambassador, but also getting into the world of cigars more in depth. So the welcome for me was major, and then of course I had the luck to meet Sergio as well, and I was very lucky as well, of course, because Rodrigo and yourself and Rodrigo set all this up for me. So the welcome was exceptional, and then walking in, I get in a bit of tour. It was such an eye-opening world, and the way that they do things, it was. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Very, very unique experience. Very, I had my first. I went to the aging room, to Los Pilones, where they're fermenting the tobacco. Then again, for me to grabbing, the wrapper, seeing the tobacco fermenting, getting that smell is it's just like when you go to our with the aging, the rum is aging, right? That you got that waft of magical, it's something that I wouldn't be able to describe, but it was such a magical moment to see the fermentation of the tobacco. For me, it was super, super unique, really, really unique.
Well, glad you had that experience. Yeah, it's always quite a sight to see when you go to the factory. Now back to rum. So you kind of mentioned that Flor de Caña is very high on their sustainability, and everything has to be local. How much does the local area where the factory is really impact the flavor of the rum?
I think that it has a major impact. If we see, the world of rum, everything, starting, of course, from what it is, the sugar cane, the area, the climate, the soil is very unique, apart from the type of distillations. In the case of Flor de Caña, of course, we bless to have volcanic land. As I was saying, we're only 5 miles to the most active volcano in Nicaragua, 1,750 feet active, as San Cristobal just erupted not long ago, a couple of months ago. So what was being blessed, that those ashes having spread to the land, which just gave you a really volcanic terroir. So there's a lot of mineral on the waters, but as well on the soil. So the sugar cane that we grow is really healthy, and it gave us that volcanic spirit, because it's all about the sugar cane. The temperatures in Nicaragua is tropical climate, but all year around you can find hot temperature, that it really helps developing a strong, healthy sugar cane that gives us the molasses that is the base for our rum. So the area and the terroir is big impact on the end product, as well as the aging, because as we can say Caribbean, but tropical climate like Nicaragua itself, of course, is gonna speed up the process in the aging about 2 times that in elsewhere in the world, which is just develop more flavor quickly. But at the same time, if you think in types of years aging, a 12-year-old rum, it might be, it's like above 15 years of aging, that develops very complex and rich flavors, especially just extracting all naturally from the wood of the cask itself.
Jonathan has a question. So why do you use bourbon barrels?
We use bourbon barrels because, if you think of the industry, especially if you think about bourbon itself, by law, you need brand new American oak, and you need to age it for at least a year. Then those bourbon barrels, of course, fly to all over the world, to whiskey companies, to rum companies, and it nurture the spirit. It is the perfect oak to age spirit, and also to give the complexity that we want. So we always have chosen ex-bourbon barrels, and we believe, and it's been for 100 years, the perfect barrel to age our spirit, because of the American oak, that it prolongs in time, but at the same time, we only get it with a year of aging on an ex-bourbon. So the rest of the maturity of this spirit that we create, it's just perfect to develop the natural flavors with the years. And we use the barrels at 2 times, 3 times maximum. And then what we do with the barrels, we turn it into furniture.
Because you also have a cooperage at the distillery.
Yes, we have a cooperation in the distillery. So, for example, with Flor de Caña, we're single stay rum. So for more, when I say that the bottle, the glasses, they made it in France, or the labels, or the corks, everything gets to Nicaragua. And we buy, of course, the barrel from Kentucky, but we make everything in Nicaragua. So in the cooperage, the barrel gets, or ex-bourbon barrel, we're talking about 200-liter barrels. Once we open them, we reseal them with Nicaraguan plantain leaf, just to help us with the angel share. We reseal them, and then we fill them. So once we get our molasses, we fermentation time, we create our own yeast. So pineapple skin and bananas and other magical ingredients that the team like to keep for themselves, but still quite natural yeast, 36 hour to 40 fermentation naturally. And nowadays in the world of rum, of course, producer or volume producer, they might speed that process by using a faster type of yeast, but we still keep it naturally. And after fermentation, of course, we go to distillation. On the world of rum, there's 2 types of distillation. Column still, so big 50-foot columns. We have different plates above. What it happens with these, that the spirit travel through and start purifying itself till we get the most purest form of spirit. that for us, it qualify our rum and our style of rum. But in the world of rum, you have pot still. So imagine just like a big teapot. What happened with this, as it's rounded and short, the spirit don't travel much, so it stays short and strong, very oily, where you can get more esters and more alcohol notes. A big example of this is like Caribbean rum or Jamaican rums. That is fine because they want to have that style of rum, but for us, it's all about column still, to have that nice, elegant, clean cut at the very end. So we distill the rums up to 5 times. We don't need, it doesn't mean that we do it for 5 times, but imagine after the second column, the spirit is very clean. The third column, we'll just round it, grab the heart of it, and we just fill the ex-bourbon barrel. From there, it goes straight to the warehouse. And then in the time of the warehouse, we say naturally age, and we like to highlight that because, of course, is nature taking care of the barrel, you know, and it's naturally aged, as there's no temperature changing or lighting or opening the roof to get light or moving the barrels in certain shapes, or, you know, like other types, you know, of movements or the thing that other companies can do. We just put the barrel there and we just let it stay aging for as long as it needs to be. Then, of course, Khanna, which is our master distiller, which has been 35 years with us, will go taste it, think that is all right, and that's the barrel that we're gonna take, and then, you know, we cut it to a drinking strength. So all our rums has 40% ABV, apart from our 5-year-old that is in the UK and the off market that is 37.5. This is kind of like rums that we have for the UK. Of course, in the local market, we have younger rums and lower in ABV, even 17% of alcohol, because of course in Nicaragua it's hotter. Rum, of course, is part of the culture, and we might start drinking early with lunch, with, you know, with food. It's always accompanied by that. So, but in the UK, the majority of our rum, especially the ultra premium range, which is 12, 18, 25, they all 40% ABV.
Another question coming in, again about the bourbon barrel aging. Do you use a specific brand or type of bourbon, or do you use all different types of bourbon barrel? And if you change the bourbon barrels, does it affect the flavor of the rum?
That's a great question. I'm glad that that question came in before I clarified on a previous tasting that I done last year to share this information. We use the most well-known companies in Kentucky. So we're talking about Jack Daniels, Wild Turkey, bourbon barrels. So with them, the majority of them, they coming from them. And it doesn't affect that if it's for either or, you know, a year on bourbon, it's not like, you know, in a Scotch from Highland or from Islay or smoky Scotch or not, is still going to give you that nice vanilla toasted caramel notes. There's no major changes into using one bourbon barrel from one company or from the other one. So we're quite blessed for that. And those are kind of the main ones that we use. Jack Daniels, Wild Turkey, you know, Maker's Mark maybe, but the majority of them come from those two companies. That they're the major bourbon producers as well.
So in Nicaragua, you also have the 10-year-old called the Perfect 10, and it says on the bottle a bourbon barrel aged. Is there a difference between the barrel you use for that one compared to what you use for the 12-year-old, 15-year-old?
No, I would think that's like, you can tell it that is like a single cast, you know, like that's a 10-year, the Perfect 10, which is, again, you know, you brought a bottle, is just 10 years on an ex-bourbon cast, just straight 10 years. You know, with the 12, with the ultra premium range, we will have that, but, you know, the end product of the range, it will be, you know, in the warehouse we got the 12-year-old barrels, but it might has, you know, a small blend of an older rum, because Khanna wanted to give that edge. Otherwise, you know, the rums will become kind of single barrel, just like the Perfect 10 is.
So back to the UK. So which Flor de Caña rums are available in the UK for people to try?
So in the UK, we have our youngest rum, which, believe it or not, is a 4-year-old Blanco. So it's a what is, if you think of the on rum or on white rums, majority of white rums go only into a cask for 6 to 8 months. So if you think, you know, your first rum and coke, or if you ever had someone drinking, you know, white rum straight, it's quite harsh, and that's why you mix it the majority of the time. Our youngest is a 4-year-old, so Flor de Caña extra seco, extra dry, that goes into the barrel for 4 years, and then what we do, we take it out, of course, nice rounded. It might have a bit of golden color, but we charcoal filter it to take the color away, but the product is still nice and round and clean. You know, that's why it's great for like classic cocktails, mojitos, and daiquiris. Then we move to the 5-year-old, that again is a fantastic rum, 37.5 ABV, so lower in ABV normally. And then we move to the 7-year-old Gran Reserva. And then we have the 12-year-old, the 18, and the 25. We launched last year at the 5 generations, that it was a single cask from 1988, so a 30-year-old rum, as you know, as a release to tell the market and to tell that it was only one cask across the world. We got about 24 bottles for the UK. That we have all the liquid, of course we do. One of the facts from this is, like, after the Nicaraguan revolution, you know, we opened another warehouse in Honduras, and we start sending rum there. You know, we start hiding barrels, you know, all over Nicaragua, because, you know, there was a bit of issues with the government. And then by 1980, when everything was resolved, we got all these barrels together and all this stock, and we had the largest reserve of aged rum in the world. So that's by 1980, allowing us to, of course, put an amber in our bottles, but also to have, you know, aged stock. And even though in La Reserva Familiar, so the family reserve, I think that you were there and you sampled from the cask, you got much older rums, but we keep it there. When the time is right, we're gonna release, you know, older expressions. Another expression that we brought into the UK last year, it was for our 130th anniversary, that is available only in Whiskey Exchange. It was our 130th anniversary bottle, which is a single cask, a 20-year-old single cask, which is nice, it's lovely. And then this year, in August, we have a new release as well coming to the market, which is a rum called Echo. That is a 15-year-old rum. So you will see a lot of fuss about that, you know, in the next couple of months. And then again, you know, it's a nice add to the portfolio. And they, you know, it's great range and years for different palates, you know, like right now, the 12 for me is perfect for every occasion. But, you know, if you go more a developed palate and you want something bigger, you know, you'll go 18 or 25, or if you want something younger to mix, you know, you go the 747, which is, you know, it's a great portfolio to have here in the UK, and every flavor and every profile of rum work for different occasions.
Perfect, thank you. Rodrigo, you're from Leon, which is pretty much a Flor de Caña country, Flor de Caña city. What's your earliest experience of Flor de Caña rum?
Oh, well, rum like Matteo said is very popular. So we start drinking. Well, of course, when you're in high school, the cheapest rum from Flor de Caña, which is, you know, not available in the international markets, but it's part of the culture. You know, rum and cigars and tobacco is part of the Nicaraguan culture. Is one go with the other, and the beautiful thing about these grape products is that they're both you know, what really is the flag of Nicaragua. So when you go abroad, you know, like in London or in Scotland or anywhere in the world, you see our cigars and you see the rum. So these two products are the biggest ambassadors of the country. So me as a Nicaraguan, when I travel around the world and see them, you know, the most beautiful places or humble places, people enjoying what we do, you know, a Nicaraguan product made by Nicaraguan hands, exported to the world, you know, that's the biggest pride that I have. Yeah, it's part of us. It's part of Nicaragua.
If you look at the other cigars within the range, you kind of mentioned a few of them, and maybe the 4 different areas in Nicaragua where the main tobaccos are grown. It's Jalapa, Condega, Esteli, and Ometepe. What's the main difference between the 4 regions in terms of flavor?
Oh, I think we are blessed by where the country is at. We are right in the middle of America, tropical country, surrounded by water. Nicaragua, agua means water in Spanish. So we have one side of the country, the Caribbean Ocean, then we have the Pacific Ocean, and the country itself, it's I think about 40% of the country is lakes and rivers. So we are blessed by the water that we have, and also we're blessed by being a volcanic country. Volcanic land means very fertile land. So we are very blessed by the location of the country and by the surroundings, by the water, etc., etc. So I think the quality of both the rum and the tobacco comes from the very special, unique place on earth. And then the regions that you mentioned, they're very different, very specific. Like Ometepe, for example, it's a region, it's a terroir in an island inside the big lake of Nicaragua. So the profile of tobacco that we get from this island is you get a lot of nuttiness, a lot of fruity flavors. Then you go to Esteli, where we have one of the factories, and actually where the headquarters of the company is. You get a lot of the spiciness that we create on the blends. Then you go to the Valley of Jalapa, which is a bit northern from Esteli, closer to the border to Honduras. You get the sweetness. You get really good quality wrappers as well. You go to Condega and different profiles. So we can play around with these terroirs. And inside these terroirs of Nicaragua, the family of Plasencia is blessed because we own about 3,000 acres in Nicaragua. And within these acres, the family has different farms, and each different farm has different unique quality tobacco. So within the terroirs, we have micro terroirs that make us very lucky to be able to create the blends that we are creating, because within these terroirs, we have very unique profiles of tobacco. And then, of course, it comes to craft and the knowledge of the family and how to treat the tobacco, how to age it, how to ferment it, how to dry the tobacco, how to blend the tobacco. So the possibilities are endless, but everything starts with the earth. And I think Nicaragua, it's an extremely unique place on earth where quality products are being raised, like the Flor de Caña and Plasencia Cigars.
If we look at Ometepe, so you use a lot of Ometepe in the Alma del Fuego.
Correct.
And Ometepe is quite a unique island to grow tobacco because of its kind of dipped in the 2 volcanoes on the island and sea all around it. Why is it that there's only 2 companies, or one other company besides Plasencia, growing tobacco in Ometepe?
Well, most of the land. Well, it's a very small island. First of all, so there's not a lot of acres or land where you can grow tobacco, and most of the land is being used to raise fruits. So I think that fruitiness from that's being raised in the island transfer also into the tobacco, because it's the same everything. It's a very small more island. And then, like I said, we were lucky to be one of the first families to grow tobacco there. And actually, we grow the tobacco in collaboration with small farmers in the island. So also, I think we're helping small communities and small farmers to have their economies going. And I think it's just a matter of opportunity. We were one of the first ones to be there, and we are, I think, one of the companies that's working the best with the local farmers. So it's just a matter of a very small place on earth, and being one of the first families to go there. I mean, we are, and that's a fact, one of the biggest tobacco growers in the world, especially when it comes to wrappers in Central America. Having that position gives us a lot of opportunities to grow tobaccos in all of these regions. So that is why.
So how many employees does Plasencia have now, being one of the biggest tobacco growers in the world?
About 9,000 collaborators we have among Nicaragua and Honduras. So 9,000 people working with Plasencia. 7 different factories now. We had 4 before COVID, but now we opened 3 new ones. The first reason was to have, of course, the social distancing, to have our collaborators working safely. But then, as people in the industry knows, the COVID created an opportunity, and the demand has increased because I think we have more time now to enjoy cigars. So not only we created these 3 new factories to have a safer place to work, but also the demand is growing a lot. So this crisis has meant an opportunity for all the families and companies that are working in tobacco, and we are taking advantage of that, of course.
Have those factories been in Esteli or in Honduras? Or
one is in Esteli, and the other 2 are in El Paraíso in Honduras. So this is how the factories are. We have another one in Condega. We have another one also in Honduras. So altogether 7 factories and about 9,000 collaborators. So it's a huge responsibility for a family, for a company. Some of you might know, I come from a very, very humble country. So to be able for us to give good employment to all these collaborators is a blessing, and also a big responsibility.
It's not only that, not only the 9,000 employees, it's also what you do for your employees, like the schooling for the kids, the baseball teams, etc. Can you tell a bit more about
yes,
social responsibility, as we call it here in the UK?
Absolutely. I think with a company, a different company in tobacco, with a company with a purpose. So I think the main purpose and the main goal for the family has always been tobacco, and giving aficionados all over the world the best experience. I think that's our number 1 mission. But then we have a big responsibility to the employees, and come from a country like Nicaragua, which is very poor. We want to give all of our employees good quality environments and works and pay, of course. But not only that, we have created schools in 4 of the factories that we have. So we have 4 different schools among the different regions where we grow tobacco. So now we have 248 kids that are being educated by the family, let's say, so by the schools and the sponsoring these different schools. And it's part of the mission. That's another mission, a social mission, not only the employment, the quality employment and education, of course. And then the third one, I think, is sustainability, treating the land where we grow the tobacco as good as possible, because the land is what's giving us this quality tobacco. And if we don't treat the earth in a proper manner, the earth won't give us back quality tobacco. So I think it makes sense to take care not only of the people, but also the land. And these people and the land will give us the good quality tobacco for you guys to enjoy the best quality cigars that we can give.
Yeah. So how many cigars does Plasencia make a year? Let's break it down between how many Plasencia cigars are being made and how many cigars do you make in total?
So for other companies, last year we produced about 45 million cigars altogether. So among Nicaragua and Honduras, and the Plasencia brand above 1 million now, so 1.2, something like that. We are a very niche boutique brand, but it's growing quite rapidly, to be quite honest. So we are very blessed by the success, the feedback, the enjoyment of the end consumer. So we're very happy with how the brand is progressing and growing, not only by numbers, but like you said, the awards that we've been getting, the good ratings. So we're happy by the work we're doing, and it keeps us on our toes to even improve ourselves every year.
And Matteo, for Flor de Caña, how many bottles Flor de Caña do you make a year?
Oof, that's a very good technical question. I wouldn't. I don't think that I have the total number for it, which is I'm gonna definitely ask the team. But I think we towards liters we're producing more than 1 million liters, on a regular basis. That's a great question to ask the global team. I wanted to also take it back to what Rodrigo was saying towards what we do for the communities, which is quite important. We open our own school as well, our own hospital since 1913 and 1950s, where more than 600 people have been enrolled. One of the things here is like, how do you see the next generations coming in, enjoying the benefits of free education and also the free medical services that the company provide to the community. One of the things that I love from Flor de Caña as well, apart, for the sustainability is we're fair trade. We're one of the first global spirit to be fair trade certified. So every time that someone buy a bottle, so open a bottle of Flor de Caña, you helping the workers to add to earn a minimum extra for them to create on their own project, invest on their own projects, which is really unique also, by taking the benefits of the free schooling and the free a hospital, people, the families, and the country itself, it has a better future for the next generations to provide maybe the next, master distillers or next brand ambassadors for the country itself. For the Khanna as well, it has a major commitment, for the American Nicaraguan Foundation, when we provide, as much as we can towards, water wells, even food, scholarship for kids around Nicaragua. And also we have, the fourth generation, Don Carlos Pelas and Doña Vivian, they suffered kind of a big plane crash, 1990, 1991, that, unfortunately, one of the planes that it was flying back to Nicaragua, it crashed, to technical conditions, and there were about 112 people passed away, but they were kind of the survivors, the fourth generation, Mr. Don Carlos Pelas and Vivian. And after that, they opened a hospital called Aproquén, which, because for many years, it took so many years for them to recover out of, the burn injuries. And what's magical about this, that they wanted to provide back to their community and open this hospital that, I don't know if many of you are aware, there's some rural areas in Nicaragua that still we cook with open fire. And, the majority of some of the burn accidents in Nicaragua are with children's. So providing free medical services for children, building a big house, a big guest house in front of this hospital as well, for, whoever passed this unfortunate accident can recover, get, flying the best doctors out of the States and also in Latin America, which is, for me, very touching. This is things that, of course, you say, oh, it's just a company that you're selling rum. But for me, all these little things around or behind that make it, so special. We're the only company to have both certifications. We're the only company to have both in the world, so fair trade certified and carbon neutral. Last year, we got our carbon neutral certification that we offset all emissions on the production process as well of the production of the rum, which again, in the world of rum, on moving into sustainability, we're the pioneers of this. And right now we see all the companies taking our practices and applying it. But, we have all the certification for the last 10, 12 years, which is really, really good to see in the world of spirits or the rum itself, or the companies taking these practices, and now applying it, as Rodrigo was saying. We take it from the environment, we want to provide back, but also, commitment with the people is exceptional. And that's what we want to be leading from example. So it's something to be really, really proud of. And of course, to share this information with you as well.
Thank you. Rodrigo just mentioned some of the measurements they had to take at the Plasencia factory relating to COVID. And what impact did COVID had on the production of Flor de Caña?
Then again, I've won't be able to tell you much information about that, because I haven't had a chat with the team, with the production team over there. I would think that, we work with a small team anyway in production and all the areas. So there's always been quite spits out. Is the majority is just like for us, the different kind of sales team or education team across the country, that they more exposed to more people than the production team and Nicaragua itself. So it's something that I would believe, they take the right measurements. The production really never stop. And as far as I could see from the team back home, they were following all the rules and using all the equipment necessary. But definitely their production didn't stop. They just applied, the teams slightly more distance, and also just wearing all the equipment necessary to keep production going. But we've been very lucky, and talking to them and just seeing, because we got a global chat where we all inform of what's happening. We've been luckily that there's not many people whatsoever that is being affected by the virus. So we were very blessed in that sense.
Yeah, I think just adding a bit to that, I think we're lucky in Nicaragua as well with the climate, with the weather. You know, it's a tropical country, so everything, all work happens in an open area. Well, air can circulate freely. So luckily, yet the impact of COVID has not been that big in Nicaragua because of the measurements that companies like Flor de Caña and Plasencia are taking, but also because of the weather conditions in Nicaragua and the working conditions as well, and taking, of course, the measurements that we need to take in order to keep everybody safe.
There's a question for you, Rodrigo. Andy just put it in the chat box. The cigar has quite a unique burn in that it keeps to the pointed shape from the start. Was that done deliberate?
I'm sorry again, the question about the shape?
Cigar has quite a unique burn in that it keeps to the pointed shape, so the Salomones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's a very unique vitola. You know, a box press Salomon is a very difficult shape to make, and it took quite a development to get everything right. But the burn and also the draw, because you know, if you press it too much, the draw is not right. If you open it too much, then the burn is not right. So it took, let's say, a couple of years to get this vitola at the perfect burn and draw shape, etc., etc. So it's a lot of trial and error, and the end result is very good, and that's why the burn is so even on the cigar.
So with the unusual shapes in some of the cigars you have, how long does it take a roller to master that skill to roll those shapes?
Oof. You've been to the factory, so the factory of Esteli. So you see in the production floor, there's a couple of lines of ladies and gentlemen. So I call them artists. I hate the word factory in cigars because I like the word more atelier. So it sounds more like we do. You know, it's a craft that we do. And these two lines of production, we have the most experienced artists that have been with us for more than 8 or 9 years. So you know, they have been selected from the different factories. And these are the truly experts in making the best cigars from the Plasencia line. So it takes a lot of time to get to this point. And these ladies and these gentlemen, these artists have achieved that. And that's why they're not in front of the line. And also it's a beautiful thing because the people behind this line of production, they see them at the front. And that keeps them also wanting to get better and make more difficult shapes, better quality cigars. So also that keeps a bit of the competition spirit and to improving the quality more and more.
Something to aspire to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Does Plasencia as a company struggle getting new rollers into the factory? Because when I was in Nicaragua, I noticed that a lot of factories were looking for rollers.
Yes, that's true. If you go into Esteli, you see a lot of signs, that the factories are looking for rollers and bunches, but no. Because of the structure of the company, because of the system, because of the fair payment that we have, people want to work in Plasencia. So usually they stay with us for a long time, and we want them to stay with us because we like to take advantage of their expertise. So that's something that luckily we are not struggling with because of the social benefits, the good pay, also the working for Plasencia in Esteli. It's something that people are proud of. So they want to work and collaborate with Plasencia.
I know the relationship between a lot of factories is quite good between. So does it happen often that people from one factory want to move to another factory, or does that happen often, or do people normally come from?
It happens. But like I said, luckily not with us. But it happens. If some other factory is offering, say, more money, people like to make a bit more money, and they move to the other factory. We like to retain our talent. And I think a big part of the success of Plasencia, is the people, of course, and we want to retain the talent, and usually they stay with us.
What about progression within the factory? You have people who started at the bottom and now are supervisors or part of the blending team, or what's the older person in the factory who's been with you the longest time?
We have now the chief of production in Esteli, who retired when he was, I think, about 80, but he's still coming to the factory because he loves working for us, so he's still coming as a supervisor. And we have also a gentleman who is part of the family, actually. He's about 87, so he's a Cuban origin is Nestor Senior's cousin, who is with us as well. So it's they have it in their blood. It's just part of their life. It's really hard to retire from something that you're so passionate about. So it's part of, it's in the blood. It's difficult.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
And how's it like that in Flor de Caña, Matteo, at the distillery?
The distillery, is I think that was magical. I've been there for the last 3 years. I've been lucky to visit, and it's you can see a lot of family together. As one of the things that I do have to say, because I've seen it and I agree with Rodrigo. That working for such a iconic companies, that they are the heart of the country, and being so proud about what they do. Is so unique, because we've seen people who just started maybe on production, or just from cutting the sugarcane to then move to start doing the tours, or even to driving the car, or on the sugarcane plant, or in the aging room, or in the cooperage, the apprentice. So you have your son, then that just passed the tradition. So you just pass from generation to generations. And this is one of the things that I like from this, and for me it's a highlight, is because, of course, for everything that we said, you look after the workers, then generation and the generation, you pass this craftsmanship, and then you master this craftsmanship, and also recognizing the talent that you have, and just keep it, and also providing all the other facilities and all the other benefits. You don't want to move to there. You will definitely see that what we're doing right now, or all these practices, or all these things that we're doing extra, is for the other generations, to pass to the other generations, which is something very unique. The last 3 years, some of the people that I met doing the tours right now, they're more executives, or they be part of the global team. They're traveling abroad, so the company always gives opportunity to people that they there. And then even though, for example, if I was I don't know, cutting sugar, I would still talk like I talk now as an ambassador, because I feel so proud of what I do. No matter if you tasting the brand, or if you're in production, or if you're any other department, everyone has the same passion for the product, and for the roots, and for the family, and for the brand itself, which is something that for me is very, very passionate. So I feel quite blessed to travel or be in the UK, and being able to communicate, what they do in Nicaragua, and what they've been doing, for over 100 years.
I've got a question for both of you, and it's about barrel aging. Some companies like Plasencia's neighbors Perdomo, they do some barrel aging. Davidoff have done some tobacco and barrel aging, and we even did a project with Flor de Caña on the Nicaragua barrel age, the Camacho. Do you think there will ever be a partnership between Plasencia and Flor de Caña, where you bring out a barrel aged cigar?
There should be, I think.
There should be, yeah.
Absolutely. We haven't yet done any barrel aging. I know we are experimenting with different aging processes, looking into the past, but adding some technology as well, but not yet. But I think definitely it should be a project that we should do together. And I mean, not only with Matteo, but with the whole family, Pelas, and with different ambassadors. And we collaborate with Flor de Caña all over the world. I think it definitely makes sense, and we do so. And they're always having an open door for us to collaborate all over the world, because it makes sense to bring, I think, the best two products from Nicaragua together. So.
Yeah, I've totally agree with that, Rodrigo. And of course, I'm quite junior into this world. We say 3 years, but especially for our market, for the UK market, really competitive. The UK is the door pretty much to the world. So whatever we bring here, or whatever succeeds here, is the eye from other markets, of other connoisseurs across the world. Is because I'm quite creative. My world is always being creation, development of drinks, and traveling a lot. I think that for the product that I have tasted, like Rod said, with the 25 that Camacho did, I think that with Plasencia would be something exceptional. I'm aware that Don Tomás Cano and Flor de Caña itself, the whole family, they always are willing to innovate, and with Plasencia, of course, we think that it'll be a completely success. So I think that's a great idea. And it's something that, of course, you can talk, with the team in Nicaragua, and it can be a future project to look forward to. Is innovation is always our core. Another thing that I didn't mention, to the UK, well, on my first trip to Nicaragua, I seen this coffee liqueur that is called espresso, Flor de Caña espresso. And I tried it, and for being so many years in the UK and trying all the coffee liqueurs, I was like, oh, wow, this is lovely. And it was my dream to bring it to the UK, right? So I was like obsessed with it. It was my mission. And last year, we finally managed to bring it to the UK. So it's a coffee liqueur that it has, it uses as a base Flor de Caña 7. And what we do, because, the coffee industry as well, it employs more than 40,000 people in Nicaragua. It's as big as, the cigar and rum. What we do with the harvest is fresh. We get it to the lab. We extract kind of the essence and the oils, and then we put the base of Flor de Caña 7 as a base. Then we add natural syrup. So we got a rum coffee liqueur, which is caffeine free, and it's just like the most wonderful coffee liqueur in the world. So that's kind of like the company keeps evolving, and it wants to join in different products and bringing these kind of unique things. And then, of course, connoisseurs like us, that we're always willing to experience something new and get something excited. It's kind of like quite exciting to look forward to future projects or collaborations like that. I think that the only thing that, they can be limited or they can go very quick. So you need to be quite fast to be there before the rest.
Yeah, it's a great liquid, to be honest. I tried it in Nicaragua the first time I went, and I know we spoke about it then. He said, yeah, it's coming to the UK, and it's great value as well. It's like £22, I think.
Yeah, we have exclusively in we signed in Tesco right now, and it will be into Waitrose as well. But then, yeah, if you love a coffee liqueur, rum coffee liqueur, which is quite unique because the majority of the liqueurs, they lower in ABV. This has 30% ABV, which no other coffee liqueur has, and also caffeine free. So it's slightly healthier than others as well. So that's quite a good tip for you. And then that's a clear example of innovation. In the local market, we do have Flor de Caña Coco, which is a flavored coconut rum, lighted as well. But as you can see, we focus in ultra premium products, naturally aged, our 25 #1 rum in the planet, over 150 awards, across wide in the majority of the rum shows. But again, we looked for other opportunities and other things to keep innovating, and open-minded, because that's the magic in our industry, I would believe, finding new exotic things and new projects that we can be involved to bring, new sensations to the palates, but also to the connoisseurs and people who are willing to experience out there as well.
Great. Rodrigo, I think we discussed it earlier in the session, but maybe just as a refresher, then you ask what we can expect from the Sixto I.
The Sixto I, I think, like you said, and I love the example you use. The Sixto II or the other Alma Fuerte Vitolas are an espresso. I think this is a very deep cigar, very chocolatey, very espresso-like. But the Sixto I, you can add more creaminess, sweetness into the blend. So I'm sure for those who are fans of Plasencia and the Alma Fuerte, you can even push this experience a bit further into the blend. So I'm really dying to hear the feedback from consumers in the UK and get their feedback. But I'm sure it's going to be a success. I mean, I'm certain of that, because the blend is going to be very, very balanced, very appealing to the palates of the aficionados in the UK. But you try it and you let me know.
Yeah, no. As I said, I tried it in December at the factory with 2 other people. It was the first time for all 3 of us, and I think that cigar straight away rose to the #1 spot in our in our Plasencia lineup, we also said, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, it's really something to look forward to.
Yes, and if you get well, when you go to the different shops and Mitchell's shops, if you see it, get it, because the demand is being quite high. The production, of course, is limited tobacco, so the production is low. So if you have a chance, if you see it, get it, because the supply is going to be slow. I know that as a certainty. So if you have the opportunity to try it, please grab it, because it's not going to be a fast supply, let's say, especially for these kind of products.
Great. I think we're coming towards the end of the session. Don't know if Paul and Mitchell want to talk about some of the projects we're currently working on with Plasencia.
Yeah. Just to extend on new cigar releases, we're fortunate enough to do a Plasencia Orchard Selection exclusive release in the UK marketplace last year, which was a huge success, and I don't think there's many sticks left. So we're currently working with Rodrigo on doing 2 cigars to release into the UK marketplace. At this stage, it's looking to be Q3 this year. So we'll do a 2021 release of the Toro cigar, and we're going to do a Plasencia exclusive 2 cigars as well with a Lancero. So two other cigars to look forward to from Plasencia.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, these are wonderful cigars, and the blends have been, let's say, driven by the taste of Mitchell and Paul. So it's 2 palates that I really respect. So I'm sure the customers are gonna enjoy this too, and we're working on it, and we should be there ready for the market in Q3.
I think the Talico that we did, the Toro size, was probably the best blended cigar I've tasted in years. It had such layers of sweetness and complexity. It was really something very special. And I think we went through quite a process on tasting the blends, testing the blends for the Lancero. And I think the one that we've settled on is just phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got I think we're down to our last 20 boxes of Toro, but we did keep back another 20 boxes so we can do some nice sampler packs of the Toro and Lancero. So that's going to be, good fun for our clients to be able to contrast between the two of them, because you're going to get more intensity from the Lancero and more kaleidoscope of flavors from the original Talico because of the bigger ring gauge. So it's going to be an interesting contrast, but yeah, it's been a fabulous project to work on. And as most people know, I'm a huge fan of Nestor, and I absolutely love the brand. So we're very, very excited about the launch of the Lancero site.
We are too as well, and thank you also for giving us the opportunity since the beginning. Since we started in the UK, for opening the space of the humidors for the family, and it's an honor to develop these blends for you guys. So
yeah, we were early supporters because we put you in the UK before Davidoff, and we were very surprised at the success because really the brand was very unknown in the UK, and I was very happy to give it a try, and it was very surprising, and I think it was the right move to go with Davidoff to get some wider distribution. And obviously everything Davidoff do is first class, to say the least. So it's great. I think the brand is going to really build in the UK. It's got a massive following now, and that's just going to grow and grow based on the quality of the product. So we're very proud to be behind it, and we're very proud to have Davidoff as the distributor in the UK.
Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Roy, especially for being such a great ambassador of Plasencia and Nicaragua as well.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Joining.
Yeah, Roy. I've just put a link into next week's Herf. We have a special guest, Ricardo Carrione, who's the deputy ambassador for Nicaragua. So we learned a lot about Nicaragua this evening on the call, but it'll be a different perspective from the embassy next week. So if you wish to join, go to the website and purchase the samplers, and we'll share a lot more detail about Nicaragua because they're celebrating their 200th anniversary of independence. So it'll be interesting to get a different perspective. So we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you, Roy, Rodrigo, and Mateo. Much appreciated.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for everybody for joining us this evening on this
Absolutely.
sunny evening. Not.
And hopefully I will see you soon, you know, once we're allowed and we're vaccinated and we're safe to travel to the UK, because I'm dying to see you guys in person and enjoy a good cigar and good rum from Flor de Caña. So hopefully this will happen sometime soon.
All you have to do, Rodrigo, is drive from Spain to Portugal and then catch a flight from Portugal to the UK. You're
There
fine.
you go. There you go.
I think that the last time that we were together, it was in Puffin Rooms for the Alma
I think so, yeah.
launch, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Matteo, we're opening up again, I think, on the 1st of June. Come back and do another tasting event.
I would absolutely love to. I was just going to highlight that. I think that when the three of us were back together, well, the five of us actually, even it was for the Alma series for the launch on Puffin Rooms, and you know, I love to keep, you know, talking about the brand. You know, I think that right now it's, you know, when you talk about cigar, when you talk about the Nicaragua, of course, you know, it's good to see that we're the rum of choice as well, but at the same time telling you what we do behind doors and what we have and why we're proud of it, you know, and also, you know, Cigars, yourself, Plasencia, Roy, David, those have been major supports, and we always, you know, thankful to being on collaboration together, and of course counting with our support 100%, because as I've been learning year by year, I like to share my experiences as well and my knowledge into the liquid, and hopefully all of you learn a bit about our rum tonight. And before I leave, if you get any of your rum left, you know, this is the ultimate proof that we have no additives whatsoever. You know, trust me, you're not wasting any, but just a tiny little drop of the rum in the palm of your hand, and then, you know, you just rub it a little bit. Now you will realize that our rum has no sugar, no additives, and your hands will be as smooth as a baby's bottom. I will leave you with that, with a big cheers to all of you joining us this evening, and hopefully you enjoy our rum, and now you know a bit of more our history. And thank you so much, Paul, Mitchell, Rodrigo, and Roy, for always supporting us, and, you know, always come with our collaboration. So salud.
Salud, guys.
Salud.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice rest of the evening.
Yeah, thank you all. Just a final, I think the session has been recorded and will be available on the Cigars YouTube channel in a couple of days.
Fantastic.
Enjoy the weekend.
Fantastic. Bye,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Salud.